Please, we get out. Any? Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this meeting of the Planning and Community Committee being held on the 26th of March 2024. Woodley Town Council meetings are now recorded, with recordings streamed live and stored on the Town Council's YouTube channel. By virtue of attending the meeting, you consent to having your image and audio recorded for this purpose. If you do not wish for your image and audio to be recorded, then please do not stay for the meeting. For those in attendance, we're not expecting a fire drill tonight, so if you hear the fire alarm, please head for the nearest fire exit and congregate at the fire assembly point by the Oakwood Centre at the front of Woodford Park. Okay, we'll start the meeting with apologies. Do we have any apologies?
Yes, we have apologies from Councillors Hoskins, Lewis, Sartorial and Taylor. And both Councillors Hoskins and Taylor have said and are attending virtually.
Thank you very much. Do we have any declarations of interest? No? On to item 3, minutes of the Planning and Community Committee meeting held on the 27th of February. Can I sign these as a true record of that meeting, or are there any amendments that need to be made? Everybody's happy with them. I will sign them at the end of the meeting. Thank you. Item 4, actions and follow-ups on page 13 of the agenda. I think they're all fairly straightforward. We'll just have a look. Earlier. Item 44, minutes, right to WC requesting 2 years, that's not due until July 24. 94.2, Speed Watch awaiting go live of group, that I take it we may well have a report later. Item 94.3, I have spoken to the ward member for that area and he is going to take this up again with the officers of Wokingham Borough Council regarding the parking at Addington's Rivermead School. So I will report back on that when he comes back to me. 115, implemented, awaiting approval from Wokingham Borough Council's local plan, so that one still pending. 165, not due to take place. This is inviting representatives of outside bodies. Meetings were granted to discuss with their applicable body agent, body apply for a grant. This isn't due to take place until January 2025, so that could be dealt with then. Committee to consider dangerous parking around schools. The discussion took place on the meeting held on the 27th of February.
Councillor Hoskins has his hand up.
Yes, Robert.
Thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to comment on this point. I thought it was really good that the press picked up on our discussion and they gave us a really positive coverage in the Reading Chronicle, which was published online as well, and shared on Facebook. I think, and we just had positive comments all around on that. So I think it really shows the importance of this committee having such discussions in the forum in which we do. So well done us. Thank you.
Thank you very much for pointing that out.
Councillor Taylor.
Councillor Taylor.
And just to sort of follow on from that, what we agreed, wasn't it, that we would talk to the My Journey team about whether there was anything we could do using their kind of initiatives in Woodley. So once we get them present at the walking and cycling, we can talk to them there and see, if there's anything we can do to ameliorate the problem.
Yes, thank you. That comes on to 188 cycling, walking, discuss car parking, school parking with My Journey team, and that will be dealt with once the member of staff of WBC return to her post. First, increase enforcement around schools, again, round about the schools, that's written to.
Yes, I did get a response from them and they do have a regular schedule of going around and visiting schools. What I did find is they didn't realise Wangels College was a comprehensive school. They thought it was a sixth form college and haven't been enforcing that. So right. That's been helpful because they've been able to add that into their rotas.
Were they helpful and provide you that schedule? We just said that we have a schedule.
I think I did. I know I asked them what their schedules are. I need to check up if they came back and I don't know whether they.
My expectation is you won't get the schedule. Please push for it.
I think I did get some. Sorry, I do apologise. I can't remember exactly what they said. I'm sure they said the number of times, but here we are. I only hold data up to and including the 22nd of the 2nd, 24, but can provide that of the 11 schools regularly patrolled within Woodley. Each of these patrol between 1 and 3 times in January. 7 of the 11 schools have received 1 or 2 visits up to the 22nd of February 2024.
That's not really a schedule. That's
Not the exact schedule,
it's
it is the number of
where we're
times,
going.
yeah. And it says that, so from their point of view, their last line is the enforcement team attempts to patrol each school at least once per month.
Right. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, sorry. This is in 94.3. This you mentioned already, Mr. Swan. You already raised the issues with the 14th November meeting. That was, and Mr. Shahid Yunus as well.
Yes.
Raised the issue. And then now if we see here, you said committee consider dangerous parking and around school zones 172.3 is a complete discussion took place. So, I mean, we received any actions on them or we just continuing discussion and
Well, as I said, regarding the Addington School one, which is the Shahid Yunus, is the ward member for that area. That's the one I've asked him to investigate again because he did ask the officers to make a point of making a visit there. And as far as he hadn't had a report back, so he's going to take that up with them again.
yeah, so when we are expecting to report that
But as soon as, I mean, I spoke to him at the meeting, last council meeting regarding, which was Thursday. So as soon as he's got something back, I will report back on it. But I'm waiting for him.
thank you.
Okay.
And he's waiting on
The officers.
WBC.
Yes. Okay, current planning applications, page 15. We are going to start with the 240586 29 Beechwood Avenue application first. We have a gentleman who wishes to speak on that application, I believe. Yes?
Yes. I just wanted some questions answered. I'm back onto that development and I've looked at the plans online and I was concerned about drainage. There's nothing on there about drainage. Now there's a macerator at the back of this building, which is very close to my boundary. But I've got no knowledge of how he's going to get rid of it.
Right.
There's also mains water in the building, and so there's nothing about drainage. So that's my main concern is how's it being drained?
Right. Unfortunately, I don't think on planning applications they go into drainage because that becomes building control. So it's something that needs to be taken up with the building control. We don't have details of drainage plans. So it's not a planning issue as such. I know it obviously is a concern and obviously concern to you, but it will be necessary to take that up with the building control officers.
But shouldn't it be on the plans?
It's not a consideration that the planning officers actually take in. They might take in if there's a particular problem with drainage in the area, you know, like a history of drainage problems. But unfortunately, it's coming back to the building control.
Councillor Wolski does it.
Yeah, can I just go back to Councillor Wolski? You might be able to add something to it.
Thank you, Chairman. Now, I don't know if this is one we looked at before, where we had a planning application for a gym in the garden, and it was quite clear from that drawing that it was going to be ancillary accommodation. And time after time, we seem to be getting these, well, retrospective applications in because, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know this. And the planning officers seem to have a slightly lackadaisical oh, well, it's not much of a problem. We just let this one go. And this seems to be coming up time and time again, that these garden buildings are being developed into self-contained accommodation, which is then being rented out. And it is obviously having an impact on neighbours. It's also going to have a knock-on effect with parking and other social aspects. And I think we should really support Mr. Francis' complaint and objection, and we should object to this very strongly.
Yeah, I take your point there, Rob. I do agree. But Mr. Francis, your objection was mainly over drainage, not usage of the building.
My name's Dobson.
Oh, sorry. Mr. Dobson, your objection was the drainage, not the usage of the property. Yeah, perhaps you can come back here.
Well, no, just to Robert's point. Unfortunately, there is no planning law to stop an outbuilding being used as a habitable accommodation, with one caveat. As long as they take their meals in the main house, it is perfectly legitimately, from a planning perspective, to move people in. Usually it's a granny flat or something like that, and they would normally have their meals with the rest of the family. I've been down this path. Theresa May MP's been down this path with me before, and unfortunately, that's the status quo.
I think this, your concern about the drainage is, as I say,
so particularly the macerator.
Is the macerator noisy? Or is it in use?
I'm not sure it's being used yet.
No. Just I saw that on the drawings, and
I haven't heard anything from the building.
Yeah.
Usually are.
Yeah.
I'm not over concerned about the building itself because I've got a 6-foot high fence and also trees.
Right.
So it doesn't bother me.
It's the drainage and
it's just the drainage.
Yeah. As I say, that is really building control. It's not something we could say we would refuse or suggest or recommend refusal because of the drainage. What we could do is make it a condition or make a recommendation that the drainage be looked at. But we couldn't make a recommendation of refusal on the grounds of drainage problems, because that really does come under the building control, not the planning. Rather strange, I agree, but that's the way life is, unfortunately. But I do take your point, and I think it's something that perhaps we could make mention of in our objections to the development. Can I go to June Taylor, Councillor?
Hi, just a point to make, that the people who built this, they have actually removed the sort of kitchenette thing in the building, again because it's sort of ignorance. People don't realise what they can and can't do. So I mean, they have accepted that and moved that forward. I think we've talked about this a few times in different meetings about people's sort of hazy understanding of what is and isn't allowed in terms of what's a shed, what's an ancillary building, what's unacceptable. As Rob's saying, there's always this kind of, once somebody's put it up, there is almost like a predisposition from the enforcement officers that, well, unless it's absolutely awful, we'll just leave it as it is. And I just wonder whether we need to take an action from an educational point of view, and perhaps in a forthcoming Herald, or perhaps we could do something at the town meeting day, because I was thinking it might be an idea for us to have a table there just with a few tame councillors there for people to come and talk about this sort of stuff. But I think clearly people genuinely don't know. I mean, there will be some people who'll be taking advantage of things, but people don't know, and as I say, it's almost like every month we'll have something that somebody's bunged up in their garden. I think the other thing is, I think we've also looked at the kind of rules and the planning rules in Wokingham, and about how far away a shed, an ordinary shed, should be from a fence. And I think that probably rules out most of the sheds in Woodley. you know, so it does need a bit of kind of clarification and work around it. And as I say, most people haven't got a park in their back garden, and most people will put a shed close to a fence, you know, and yet if you look at the rules, that it's not always right. So again, we've got an opportunity, I suppose, to go back to Woking and to talk about it. But I think, you know, even if in the scenario like this where somebody's made a genuine mistake, I mean, it's not nice for them to have to go through all this again, and with the worry that it might get bounced and demolished or what have you. So, you know, could we take an action to do some sort of educational thing on it, even if it's only just, you know, half a page that we can put on our website to, you know, when is a shed not a shed, when it's a Versailles that you've built in the back garden.
Yeah, Carol.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, you mentioned refusal. I don't think we have any grounds for.
No, recommending. Oh, yeah, sorry.
Okay, well, if we do, I'd be interested to hear them. I think we should certainly pass on the residents' concerns about the drainage, but also appreciate that that is a building control issue. And also really make a comment about yet another retrospective application.
Yeah.
And at the same time, maybe ask for those rules in writing, because not only the residents are probably confused about it, but we continually get this and we keep asking ourselves the question, and it would be good to have it in writing so that I know we have a list of things to refuse on, but we can put that information in that as well.
Okay, yeah, good point. Thank you. Yeah, Keith.
Sorry. I just wanted to point out that particularly this one, but usually when a resident is in this situation, they engage a professional, usually a professional planning person. This company is Cosmond and Ryback, and they should know what the rules are. And if they don't, and the resident falls foul because they didn't obey the rules, then they should take this company or their company to task for it and sue them. Because when you employ a professional planning person, you employ them not just to draw pretty pictures, but because they know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure whether, you know, an educator, I totally understand where Julie's coming from, but I'm not sure whether we can really start taking on that sort of educational, and a half page just not cut it, but it's an awful lot.
Yeah.
One thing I would say is that structure is less than a metre from the back fence. Now, I'm not sure of the limit. I thought it was 2 metres from the back fence. There could be grounds for objection.
Yeah, I think
there.
Yeah, we could object. I don't think the gentleman is objecting to the building itself at all. He says that, you know, it's not causing him any problems in the vicinity of where it is. It's just purely the drainage issue that he's concerned about. And I think that what we need to do is to make a point on our report that we are concerned about the drainage. Can't make it as an item, as we said, about recommending or refusal. But I think we do need to make your point so that it does become obvious to the planning or building control on your part. That's about where we can go, I'm afraid.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks for hearing me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much for attending.
All right.
Okay. So, based on that, what we've said, what's the general feeling? We have no objection as such to the proposal. Are we agreed on that, or does anybody have a contrary view?
Hold
on,
I agree with Robert insofar as his comments on retrospective.
Yes.
There are too many of them
Absolutely
coming through.
Robert, you've got your hand up, so
Yeah. Just David's just said exactly what I was going to reiterate. So I would not agree with it. I would object to the application because it is, it just seems to be happening so often.
So you're objecting because it is another retrospective application?
Yeah, absolutely.
That grounds to. object?
Not really.
No.
You can only,
Yeah.
you can only comment on the basis of the plan that's in front of you,
Hmm.
unfortunately. Which precludes any reference to any other thing.
I think perhaps a general comment to the planning officers of Wokingham that we are concerned with the number of retrospective applications that we're getting. Yeah. Not necessarily just particularly on this one, but generally.
Yes, generally, if we could object generally to all the retrospective ones, then that would be pleasing. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so are we happy that this goes through as an approval, recommended approval?
Reluctantly.
Yeah, reluctantly, yeah.
I mean, I think we'd rather say no comment, to be honest. I don't be approving it.
No,
No comment.
No.
Yeah, no,
I thought there was a
no objection.
no objection.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know, that's acceptable, isn't it? No objection.
The terminology Woking like is either we submit objections or we have no objection. It's not for us to recommend.
Which they
any
don't really
outcome.
get as approved. Legal officers alone.
All right. Yep, no objection. Okay,
Okay.
thank you very much. Okay, we come back onto the order of the agenda. So we start with 240390, 30 Westburn Avenue, and this is a householder application for a proposed first floor rear extension with changes to fenestration along with one additional outbuilding to the rear and drop curb for vehicle access following the demolition of existing garage and rear building. We've had no objections from any neighbouring properties. Car parking right on the front and garage at the rear. So there's car park. The garage is remaining at the rear with access through a rear roadway or alleyway, isn't it? At the back of the property, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
So is there any objections to this one at all? Has anybody got any points they want to raise on this one?
Okay.
Good night. Thank you very much. Thank you. See any great problems, is there?
I just think could we just refer to the fact that they're going to have a heat pump and that to ensure that it is installed far enough away from the boundary as per the regulations, because you do get a bit of noise from them.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Can I just ask June to clarify something? Boundary, the boundary, is that the boundary of the property or the boundary of the site? Because you could put a heat pump all the way down at the end of 100-foot garden, which would be next to the boundary. Did you mean really the property rather than?
Well, the Town and Country Planning Act says it must be 1 metre from the boundary. But if you see on the plan, is actually up the house end. I mean, it'd be a bit odd, really, wouldn't it, to have it right at the bottom of your garden? And it is up that end. And I'm just conscious of the fact that, I mean, I don't know whether you've ever slept next to one. I have. And, they always say that they're fairly silent. They're not. I mean, but it's a sort of a droney thing. And it's not continuous. So, we just want to ensure that it adheres to the rules and isn't put slap up against the fence.
It's quite a way away, isn't it? The boundary of the property.
Well, no, if you take the boundary of the site, and it's not 3 meters, I don't think it's 3 meters away from that fence.
It's only going to be 1 metre.
That was why I was asking the question, June.
Yeah.
I think, and you could put your heat sink right down the bottom and just run your cables in,
Well, on the plan, it's up at, close to the house. So it's just a bit, to reiterate that, make clear that it is installed as per the rules. Whether the rules are sufficient is a different issue, but as I say, it can be quite irritating.
You got a note of that?
Yeah.
Yep. Are there any other points anybody wishes to raise on this one? Otherwise, no objections?
No.
No? Okay.
Wait a minute, that is a legitimate objection, isn't it?
Well,
Julie,
it's an
if
issue,
it-
right,
I'm not objecting to it. I mean, because we're all going to have to live with heat pumps. I'm just saying that given that it's on the plan and it's not clear if it is that has got that 1 meter, it's a 1 meter away from the boundary, the fence. Just confirm that that is, you know, checked and ensure it happens. Because we don't want them coming back retrospectively, do we?
Okay, that's been noted and will be put into our reply. 240543, 14 Portrush Close, household application for proposed first floor rear extension. This is an infill. It doesn't extend beyond the ground floor, existing ground floor, as far as I could see. So I don't know really any issues on that at all. Anybody been online? Yes. So, okay, we're no objections on that one. 240595, 7 Lavenham Drive, household application for the proposed garage conversion to create a habitable accommodation, single story front extension to create a porch with changes to the fenestration. Any comments on that at all? I didn't see any great issues with it. No objections at all. Okay, quite happy with that one. 50 Rochester Avenue, 240606, household application for proposed single story front extension to create a porch, part single story, part 2 story rear and side extension, along with changes to fenestration. Any comments on that? I couldn't see anything that was an issue on that one. No, we're all happy with that. Okay, no objections. 240651, 6 Denmark Avenue. This is a household application for a proposed garage conversion to create habitable accommodation. Single story side extension, single story front extension to create habitable a porch with changes to the fenestration.
What do you mean by habitable?
Yeah, what, the porch?
I think it's one habitable too many.
But yeah, I think it might be. It might be the wording on the report. What did I have on this one? Garage. I was curious on something on this, and I can't remember what it was now. I'm looking at it. What are the drawings on that one? Let's just have a look. Is it on the drawing? I couldn't make out the front extension, I think. That's the proposed.
That's the existing,
Yeah.
and that's the proposed.
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, so it's building on top. Is there any problems with it at all? Anybody? No? No, everybody's happy with that one, so no objections to that. 240674, 26 Arundel Road, household application for proposed first floor side extension above the existing garage with changes to the fenestration. And that is, yeah, I mean, that's just building on top of the garage, no?
Similar one, just a few, either next door or a few houses.
Yes,
along.
yeah. So again, no objections. Anybody objection?
No.
Okay, we'll go with that one. 240669. Oh no, sorry, 240679. I think I'm on, am I? 679. Yeah, 29 Woodlands Avenue. Household application for proposed 2-story rear extension, insertion of 2 number dormers and 2 number roof lights to the east elevation of the existing roof, Insertion of 2 number dormers and 2 number roof lights to the west elevation of the existing roof. And that was roughly bits of paper. There's 1 letter of objection, I believe, on this one, and it was, letter of support, actually. The neighbour in 31 has said that he has no issues at all with this, and the neighbour has been very open in discussions with him. So I don't see that there's any objections at all to that one. Anybody happy with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, 240696, 4 Coppice Road. Now, this one has been going on for some time. And I will just say that there's still an open enforcement case going on with this one over car parking on the front and the use of HMO. So there is an enforcement. I think they're looking at that still. So, but this is to vary a condition, and the condition to approved plans to fenestration changes were made in the implementation of the approved scheme. But condition 5 refers to restriction of permitted development rights. No additional windows. 1 additional window is requested to be added to the west elevation at the first floor with obscure glass. Well, to me, if there's a condition in the original plans for no permitted development, I don't see why we're looking at it, do we? Am I right, Carol?
Yeah, that condition was included for a very good reason, and I see no reason to ignore it.
No, yeah. Right, so for that one, we would have an objection over the fact that there is a condition outstanding and that should be adhered to, yeah? Okay. 240398, 72 Bruce Road, household application for a proposed single-storey front infill to existing porch, followed by single-storey rear extension and changes to fenestration. I've got no objections from 74 or 70, so neighbours are not objecting. Extensions beyond neighbouring properties except 84. 84 on the drawing was going out quite a way, but nobody is objecting about it. No neighbours objecting either side, so I don't know that there's any reason for us to find an objection. No?
It's been approved once before, hasn't it? So
yeah.
I think all they're doing is they're kind of infilling across the existing porch. So yeah, I can see objection to it.
Okay. Buckland Close, 240460, householder application for proposed single-storey side extension with change of fenestration along with extension of hard standing driveway. I think there was one objection from a neighbour on this. He was concerned about loss of light to his landing. I don't know whether that's a reasonable reason to object, but I think that was his only objection.
For a single story, and this guy's landing, which is presumably.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. I don't see how that. Yes, you're right. There's a drawing on that one just to make sure that it's.
Yes, it's a lower landing.
It's incorrect. It's not a single story. It's a first floor side extension. The note is wrong.
Yeah, it's a single extension, not single story.
Yes, that's it. They're putting it on top of the garage, but I mean, I haven't been round there, but looking on Google, it was quite difficult to see actually where their landing window was. It must be right at the back of the house. Yeah, I didn't think that was the reason to object to it.
Would you be objecting? I don't know. But
Yeah,
have a look.
Who was objecting?
Who was it objected? Let's see if we've got a note of it. I've just got one objection, loss of light, number 10. We got it there. It was
At the moment, it looks like there's a separation. I'll bring street
Yeah,
view. There isn't.
number 11, Buckland Close objecting.
so the direct
What we
note.
said was we are concerned about the impact the extension may have on the natural light to our landing.
See if you can see, it must be there.
Yeah.
Still, there's no other closer
No,
street
no.
view.
Unfortunately, but it's,
Mr. Chair, as it's not a habitable room.
No.
I can't be taken into
No,
consideration.
the landing wouldn't be a great. No, so. No objection? No. Okay, and 240466. Walker Way, household application proposed single-storey rear extension with change of fenestration. Following demolition of existing conservatory, along with additional extension of drop curb to create vehicle access. Any comments on that one at all? Any issues? No, you're quite happy with that, yes? Okay, no objections on that one. Right, 240500. This is an application for removal of variation of a condition following grant of planning permission dated the 26th of the 2nd, 21 for the erection of a part single story, part 2-story front extension, including the erection of a front canopy roof, plus the insertion of 3 numbered dormers to the front of the property. Condition 2, approved details, changes to the design as the building commenced. So, yeah, I couldn't make this one out very much. I've got difficult to evaluate.
As far as I could see, it says that there's been a change of shape of the roof from the original plan, but as you say, Bill, there've been so many little sort of tweaks to this, and it kind of takes us back to Keith's point, is that you've employed somebody to plan this all out, and then as they're going along, they keep altering bits, and it is quite difficult for us to evaluate whether it's anything significant. But I mean, it's quite a big plot and doesn't
Interfere with other
people, but you have to wonder really why they keep with it.
Sorry?
Do we have details of what condition 2 is? It's reading that, it doesn't sort of suggest
No.
what that condition is.
Condition 2 relates to 210140.
0. Is that the condition?
No, that'll be the approved, the original
Yes.
approved planning permission will be on 210140.
140.
So the original decision notice will have condition 2. Approved details, this permission is in respect to the submitted application plans received by the planning authority. Basically, that is the condition that says you've been approved to build the plans that you did. And they're saying we want to vary that because actually we built something slightly different to the plans that were approved.
So for me, I can't support this because it's not telling me whether it's a minor or major change.
Can we tell by the drawings?
I'm just going to get the I'm just going to get that drawing.
That's the
Did we
question.
not-
It's the big window at the, is it 7?
I'm going to compare the elevations because that might be this is what was approved initially. And this is what's been built. So at a very initial glance, there's a change to the windows, there's a change.
The biggest change is that the main entrance, isn't it? It's gone from a cathedral window.
Yeah.
They probably run out of money. And a conventional door.
These, yeah. There's a little design feature possibly changed on
Yeah.
the Juliet balconies in terms of the extension. They've got, like, have slightly not major difference. Those.
I think the small, for me, the small windows are minor.
Yeah.
There is a
There's a-
significant difference, but when I would worry about it.
Yeah.
So that entrance blocking the centre.
They've changed those rear windows to a more standard size, I think. It's more expensive to get those long, narrow ones.
Looks like there might be a Velux window up there and here that was not on the original plans. So there and there,
But they're not overlooked, are they?
they're Velux.
Yeah, that to me is a minor.
Yeah, yeah.
But I object, because I do think the front, the lack of the cathedral window and quite a grand door. So reason for objections, probably. Sad because that's Hill Road, we've got some properties right at the top with beautiful.
Yes.
They're all doing it. aren't they?
Yeah.
It's quite
It's really
common.
nice.
That's the
Maybe
design
they
feature,
didn't want
really.
to follow everybody else.
I think we do. More like it. That's been
Okay,
going on for years.
so do we have any objections?
No.
No objections, no. Okay, that's fine. There we, oh, wait a minute, where are we?
Before I thought that was it.
506, 96 Butts Hill Road, householder application for proposed two-storey side extension with hip to gable roof along with single-storey rear extension with changes to fenestration. Didn't see any issues with this one, but then did anybody else? No? No? Okay, that one's a no objection. That completes the current planning applications. Right, on page, item 6 on page 17 is planning decisions. I think the one that stuck out to me was the fact that they didn't take 86 to 88 Headley Road, that we actually recommended. They approved it contrary to what our suggestion was over the fourth shop, the fact that we didn't think there was room to, or shouldn't be 4 shops, and also the access and exit on the car parking. Whether or not they've approved it, but that would be a condition.
I think the planning officer's report into it suggested that the applicant would be having a one-way entry and exit.
Yeah.
And in terms of the parking, whilst it commented about the 18 spaces, it said that was the same number of spaces that were there now. And changing the internal features of the building to split it into 4 shops would be managed under permitted development. So they could do that without any planning. So whilst they were concerned of parking, it wasn't linked to planning. So I think that's what I picked up as being their reasoning behind approval.
Right, okay.
Always disappointed about the advertising. It does look cheap and nasty.
Yeah.
And it violated the guidelines, the government guidelines.
And another retrospective one as well. Yeah, okay. I don't think we need to go through them all. I think, a lot of them were endorsing our recommendations. It was those that stuck out, wasn't it, really? Whether anybody else has got any comments they want to make on those? Okay. Item 7 is prior approval submissions, and these are with consultation with adjoining neighbours, just to go through those, just to have a look, see if there's anything that stands out on those that needs discussion.
Yeah. It's interesting.
What was that one?
50 Rochester Avenue.
Application.
It's got, yeah, 606.
Oh, yeah.
But I would imagine that people sees the
Yes, current planning application.
No,
615, and it was
615, so that's
6 Rochester.
That's weird. That's there's a 615, one prior approval is later
Yeah,
than the
yeah.
planning application that we've just gone through.
Hmm.
Oh, no, but just thought it was
Right. Okay. Item 8, tree preservation orders. Anything there that we need to be aware of or have any concerns over? And a confirmed tree preservation order on 91 Reading Road. No. Okay. On to item 9, cycling and walking task and finish group. And this is really to note that Councillor Edwards has stepped down as a Labour representative and Councillor June Taylor has replaced.
well done, June.
Well done.
Obviously got too much time on her hands.
She's ignoring that remark.
I can't hear.
Oh, right.
I didn't hear what Keith said. Probably just as well.
You've got too much time on your hands. You can take on yet another committee.
Okay, transportation and highways. Over to you, David. Anything to update us on?
I mean, basically, the police have agreed the camera, that's all been registered with them. I've put in 2 applications for sites. One using the amenity land beside Oak Drive to catch the speeders on Collinsmore Road, and the other one outside St John's Church. Capture those on Church Road.
Yeah.
I'm just looking on the slide here. Your group has 2 sites awaiting police approval.
We've heard nothing back from the police.
When did you put those in?
A couple of days ago. So they do take a little while. You know, you could normally reckon on 2 weeks before you get a response back on it. But June, I believe I'm right in saying you're on holiday at the beginning of April.
No, I'm not on holiday until it's somewhere. It's like towards the end of April.
Yeah, because I'm myself on holiday from the 16th of 15th of April until the end of April, and then we go straight into the elections in May. So my aim, if it's convenient with you, June, is to look at mid-May and a couple of weeks afterwards to actually carry out the first episodes.
Yeah, if we have the opportunity though to have a look at the kit beforehand, David.
Yes,
yeah, I'd appreciate that. The other thing I was wondering whether it would be worthwhile, because I've had a couple of other locations mentioned to me by residents, whether I should do this similar exercise and go and find some, see if there are any sites on the particular roads mentioned and actually put those in for approval now, because if it's taking such a long while to trundle through, the sooner we put them in, the better.
If you look at Woodley, the Bullmarsh group have got probably 8 sites approved. Some of those, I think, come over to us with the change of the boundaries. So those sites have already been approved. So if need be, we can activate our equipment on those sites.
I mean, there's one in Miles Way that I know the Bullmarsh group have got approved, and actually, you know, a resident was talking to me about, well, in fact, all those roads really that as people come off the Barder Way, they're sort of speeding in all sorts of directions. But as I say, when you've got some time, David, let me know, and if we could just go through some of those and see what we've got. But I think, given that, you know, we have to go and recce the sites first and then put in an application, the sooner we do it, the better, really.
Yeah. No, I'd be happy to put in, you know, 3 or 4 further applications. Gives us a little bit more flexibility as to where to go.
Well, I've sent you some dates when I am about. So if any of them are suitable for you, then yeah, it'd be good just to have a quick sit down, and also just to see how how you deploy the kit, because I've only had a go with hairdryer versions before, and this is a bit more sophisticated.
Right.
What's your team numbers? What do you need?
Two.
Two you can just manage with
Yeah.
two.
As we're using a camera, we can get by with two people because our equipment actually takes a photograph of the vehicles. The equipment, the police issue, well, it does not take photographs.
Right.
So you need a third person there
Totally,
to be able to make notes about the make, style of car and everything.
Oh, yes, Robert.
Thank
Can you hear
you.
me?
Thank you. Yeah, David, can you talk towards the microphone, because you're sort of coming in and out a bit. Just one thing: if we've got these locations, can we have like I don't know, 50 locations and get them all pre-approved, and then we've got a nice set agenda for the coming year of where we could go, if it's taking a time? I don't know. What's that sound like?
Yeah, no, we can put in application for as many sites as we want. The problem is there are restrictions regarding the sites. You've got to have 100 yards clear vision. You've got to have escape routes. You've got to have a position that isn't on private property. You've got to have a position where you're not interfering with pedestrians that may want to get past. So there's quite a few things that the police will stop the location, which is why, as June just said, once we know there's a speeding problem, if you're notified, let us know, and we will go and drive up and down the road and see if there's any spots there that we think we will get permission on.
But there's nothing to stop you having a list of, say, 20 or 50y locations. And once
To be honest,
you've got
I
those locations,
I don't think you want 50.
Once the site has got police approval, you can go back there anytime you want.
Great, yeah, that's a sensible thing. I think that's a good way forward. And I'm sorry, I still haven't gone online and done that course that you mentioned last time. I am sorry.
Right. Okay. Yep. Thanks very much, David. Highways issues. Does anybody have any issues regarding that? Yes.
Well, issues, just to give an update from the fiasco across the road at the Headley Road car park, where officers put in an EV charging point on the two disabled parking spaces that are right opposite, which has caused massive confusion. So is that disabled parking spot that you've got to have an electric car? Can people who aren't disabled use it to charge their electric car? And we've ended up with 3 different answers saying different things. So I took the initiative, and I've been talking to the director for highways, and basically they do recognise they could have sort of planned it a little bit better. So what's happened now is the sign for the EV charging point and the EV charger are now covered with black bags, which means it's gone back to a bog standard disabled car park. They are going to, if you go where those 2 slots are, you've got the path coming down. You go across to the other side, the bottom 2 parking spaces that are facing that path, they will create 2 new disabled parking spaces. There will be some benefit in the sense of the standards today for disabled parking spaces are much better than they were when the first ones put in. I think they're wider.
Yeah, but those 2 spaces you're talking about aren't as foreign.
Well, I'm assuming they're going to put bigger, wider spaces
Right.
opposite. They're also, which I think is a benefit, putting in a drop curb. Because at the moment, if the current two spaces, you've got to go all the way back to the pay machine to get onto them. So there is some benefit. And as soon as they've done that, they will then remove the disabled logo and the words disabled parking from the existing two and take the black bags off. Why they didn't just put the EV charger
On the other side.
on the side in those two?
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? But that is now absolutely the definitive. The key was put the black bags on.
Yes, Robin.
Yeah, thank you. I wonder if these officers actually are aware of the Equalities Act 2010, because those two existing spaces are not suitable size for a disabled user to use. And Keith, you mentioned that we'd be losing two spaces on the other side of that path. Two disabled spaces of that size will take up at least 3 existing parking spaces. And I think you've highlighted a good point here, that we should actually make sure that we are meeting the minimum of 6% target for disabled spaces in any car park for the Disability Discrimination Act. Whatever year it is, I forget, but it has been an absolute farce. And Keith, if you could find out how much this has cost, because I'm sure we're looking at, you know, in the tens of thousands of pounds it's going to end up costing. Thank you.
Okay.
Are they also looking at putting a leaf from one of the each side in a disabled parking space, because electric cars are coming available?
No, they won't.
Electric cars are already available on the mobility scheme.
Yeah, so what will actually happen is if you've got electric charging, you will have to go into one of the 2 slots that are there at the moment, okay, which are the current disabled, which won't be, and just on, if those are the 2 disabled, the next 2 on this side, backing up to the house, there's a charger there for 2 of them as well. Now, many people on social media are pointing out that they're not big enough. Forget the disabled parking concept, they're just not big enough because the cables, etc., to fit 2. And so what they should have done, and these are
not wheelchair accessible.
yeah, so these officers who are paid a lot of money, meant to be professional. What they should have done is take the first 3 parking spaces. You obviously can't do it for 2 because there's only 2, but take the first 3 and make 2 charging spaces. Same with your point, the new disabled point, we'll probably have to take 3 for 2 disabled. There's over 200 spaces there. Over 200 spaces. That, you know, they were spoiled for choice where they can put it. And they wouldn't be losing, you know, they might be losing 5 or 6 or something like that. It's ridiculous.
Story all empty.
So if you're disabled and have a blue badge,
Yeah.
you not just there but anywhere, and you want to park on an EV charging point, does it have to be designated disabled?
No.
You can park on any EV charging point with a disabled badge, and that's fine. It doesn't have to be designated.
Oh, are you thinking they don't have to pay?
Yeah.
Yeah, they wouldn't have to pay.
Right.
In Woking, but elsewhere, disabled people do actually pay parking charges.
Yeah.
I think it is.
Robert.
Yeah, just something to clarify there, Bill. You meant a disabled person using an electric car parking in one of those bays, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because a disabled person using a petrol car could not park in that bay that's for an electric car, could they?
Okay. Any other highways issues? Right, on to community issues. Do we need to have any discussions on? Yes, Carol.
Yes, I just wanted to bring up something that this committee has been concerned about before, which is green spaces and holding on to them, protecting them, etc. And there's something called the Local Nature Recovery Strategy, NRS, which I don't mind, I'll read, it's easier. It's a government initiative which maps areas important for biodiversity, nature recovery, creating local habitat maps. The White Knights and Bulmersh Green Corridor, which is set out, there's maps available, includes areas in Woodley and adjacent to South Lake, Highwood, Bulmersh Open Space and Bulmersh Park. And every local nature strategy, which a local authority needs to set out, would include a statement of biodiversity priorities and a local habitat map. The authority responsible for that is Windsor and Maidenhead Borough Council as a unitary authority for the whole Berkshire area. And the idea is that the responsible authorities work together with various organisations. I've been invited to a workshop for the Berkshire LNRS because I'm a member of the Friends of Bulmersh Open Space. I feel this is an important initiative. It's got the law behind it and will help protect our green spaces. And I just wanted to make people aware of the LNRS and in particular the White Knights and Bulmersh Green Corridor. As you can imagine, it stretches from White Knights from the university campus right the way through. And it's like a green lung, if you like, trying to join up some of these green spaces to provide ways through. I'll be attending that workshop hopefully, and I'll report back. But if anybody wants any further information, I've got lots of bits of paper, what PDFs and maps and things, happily provide that for you.
When is that?
Yeah.
What workshop?
Yeah.
20th of April.
Is there a single doc? Did you say you got loads of documents, right?
Yes, there-
Is there a single like overview document?
Yes, there is.
Could you send it to Matthew and Matthew send it to all councillors?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Okay. Any other community issues? Right, publications and information. We have Berkshire has received the Berkshire Association of Local Councils newsletter, March 24.
I mean, I know I've received a copy, but I haven't had the opportunity to read it properly. But I'm supposed to be the town council's representative on that body, and I haven't heard of any meetings to, or anything to attend for goodness knows how long. But as I understand the situation, Berkshire Association now is just a few people who are supposedly looking after Berkshire. All the legal aspects and what have you are done through HALC, which is Hampshire Association of Local Councils. Now, on that basis, the last set of accounts I saw, which I must admit was probably 4 years ago, there were no details on income Berkshire Association received. The only thing that was there was the amount they received back from HALC. Now, it's not a small amount of money that we are paying. I personally believe that Berkshire Association's account should show fully the income received from Berkshire Associations. Then a debit against that on what they pay HALC to do the legal services, etc. Should not be the other way around, where the money mysteriously goes straight to HALC and HALC pay them back.
So,
Just to clarify on that, we haven't appointed any formal representative to BALC for this year. I don't know the last time. I have to check back through the previous record. But we definitely have no representative on BALC now. I do know we've seen BALC newsletters that have come in the last sort of 6 months or so. So for a number of years, they haven't really had a very good operation, and that's why HALC have provided the support for Berkshire councils. And BALC are really trying to promote and increase usage and kind of working with the authorities on their own back, which is what I think a lot of those newsletters now advise. So I know they are pushing to try and kind of improve their own operations and not just rely on HALC, but obviously, yeah, all the current support and training and guidance and everything that we receive comes from HALC. So
yeah. But I just feel, and I think other councils locally probably feel the same way, that we should be able to see how much of our money is actually going to HALC.
Can we get somebody from BALC to come here and do a presentation, which they should like a hand off if they're trying to promote and push it?
Yeah.
Because that would be a good vehicle, that gives us an opportunity to discuss.
I can definitely ask. Would you like that to be at this meeting, planning? I would. That's what I was thinking. That's what I asked. I can do that.
It will be good news if they are trying and they are successful.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Why we started pulling out, whereas they were a waste of space.
The support we get through HALC is good, apparently provided through HALC is big.
I've no problem with that, but I'm looking from a legal perspective. We to be able to see where our money goes.
Because if it's only, the only benefit of getting is legal from HALC, we not actually have a direct contact with them. Because there's got to be money taken, siphoned off, because it's going through various hands.
And also, personally speaking, I would rather like to see a balance sheet from BALC.
That's not everybody talking.
We can, invite them to the full council. Ask any questions you like.
That's it.
Yeah.
Hey. Right, future agenda items. Any items that we think should be included in the next or a future agenda?
Can I pick up something that June said about the lack of knowledge about in particular, outbuildings?
Yeah.
Could we possibly invite an officer from WBC, planning officer, and ask them to come and do a sort of training session for this group?
Yeah.
To bring us up to speed with that focused area. I don't know what other people think, but that might be helpful.
Yeah, I think certainly on what we've come up against tonight is very difficult, isn't it, to be able to assess whether we are going in the right direction. Certainly, what usage these buildings can be. I mean, you're saying they can be used as habitable buildings, provided they don't take their main meal in it.
I seem to remember, it might have been 2019, but WBC did actually hold a training course for people on wetlands.
That was high level. What I'm saying is focus on this issue. Yeah. It's cropping up more and more.
Yeah.
Perhaps that's how we should frame the request to the borough. Is basically, we've seen loads of these. Some of them we think are, people genuinely are not clear about what the rules are around sheds and buildings in the garden, and some of them are people taking a rise. And we'd like to do something, to make it clear to people how it works. So how would they suggest we do that? Have they got material? I mean, there's loads of stuff on the WBC website. It is very clunky to search through it, and I think quite a lot of it would benefit from a sort of layman's introduction. And certainly when I was talking about it earlier, I wasn't thinking that we'd go into, the nth level of detail. It's very much, are you going to put a shed up in your garden? You need to be aware of the rules and high level, you could put what those are and then link into the detailed stuff at Wokingham. I genuinely think loads of people, I mean, I had no idea that there was limits on what you can do with a shed in your garden. And again, I think one of the first meetings I came to here, and we've got somebody who built a very elegant shed in their garden, which actually was breaking rules. And as I say, I think it was just genuinely had no idea that it was a problem. And so, just step one is just to raise the consciousness. So I think that's how we need to frame it, rather than, we want a training course. We've got this specific issue. We've had half a dozen instances, and in fact, we could probably dig out some examples. Our feeling is that people aren't aware, and it's something that we'd like to raise awareness of. So, how could they help us to do that?
I just provide some context around asking them. So we back in December or November, actually, we were discussing the Woodley Design Statement, and there was a request from this committee for Wokingham to attend a planning meeting, which I sent through to the head of planning. The head of planning in the middle of December came back and was very categoric in saying that the council has limited resources. We currently do not have the capacity to attend an evening town council meeting. We're in the process of putting together a training programme for next year, to which we'll invite town and parish councils, and we'll consider whether the use of SPDs, this is where they were more specific on that point. But Marcia was quite clear that they would not have the ability to attend evening meetings. They would put together a training course.
And to be fair about that, so somebody rocks up and tells us all this stuff. We have achieved nothing unless we were going to do something with it. So I can understand their kind of reluctance just to, come out and entertain us with the rules around sheds. I think, if we are asking for advice or stuff we can read and assimilate, we should be telling them what we want to do with it. And it might be something like, we want to put something on our website that says, are you going to build a shed? Think about this, and make people aware of it. And again, if we draft something, can we send it back to them and say, is this actually right? Because using officer time, to come out of an evening, I can see is probably not a good use. But if we've got something constructive and substantive, that we say we want to do with this information, I think we're more likely to get some cooperation, rather than we're just going to sit and listen to it and then off you go, and there's nothing to show for it. So that's what I'm saying. Just make it something positive and constructive, and it would involve work, from us as well as them.
Okay, thank you. Keith.
Colin.
Sorry? I think Keith first.
Apologies, June, but I couldn't disagree more. I think our priority should be for members of the planning committee to understand first, because we are the ones who have to make decisions, we make recommendations. So we need to understand the detail so we can make informed recommendations. And I'm appalled that, I know Marcia well, I'm appalled that you had that response. It's not what I would have expected. They have massive resources. They are all paid very, very well, significantly more than these two guys. It's not for us to step in where WBC should be doing it. If you look at social media, the amount of press releases and stuff like newsletters, there's sort of a new newsletter every month created. Their communications, they're spending hours and hours and hours and massive amounts of manpower resources doing those sorts of communications. It is not beyond the wit of man or woman to say, just use some of that and let the communications department, which has got about 8 people in it, all highly paid, to say there is an issue here amongst the borough, because it's not just here, put together a communication package to address this issue. It's not for us to do something. I'd love to do it, but these guys are wiped out already. The communication, if you have pieces of paper that costs money, we really should put pressure on. So we'll have to agree to disagree, June.
Well, no, I don't disagree with you there, Keith. And if that's how we express it, to say we've identified a problem, give them the examples we've got, and say we would like to have some kind of official communication, if you like, that people can refer to. I mean, that would be ideal, wouldn't it? That we could just pop that one out right, to say, here's all the gen, and it's working. And as you say, it's their responsibility. So I think the thing that we can do is provide them with those examples that we've had, and the kind of issues around it, and also the bits that we're puzzled about, like in the the sort of design guide, about not having a shed that's close to your boundary fence, when we know that nearly everybody's, that's exactly where you put it. But and that's what we want answers. So no, I don't disagree with you. I think you're right there.
Thank you. No, I agree with you.
Robert.
Thank you very much. Yes, we need someone to come and talk to us, because we've mentioned tonight a main meal. What is a main meal? And while we've just been talking, I just had a quick Google on my phone. And any eating in a shed isn't allowed. Any sleeping in a shed isn't allowed. Well, I'm guilty of that probably 150 times every summer when I fall asleep in my shed. Because, if people are making sheds for ancillary accommodation, they have to meet building regulations, like any extension would to your house. So I think it would be great if we can have someone come and talk to us, so that we all have a better understanding, and it's not just our bit of Googling and interpreting it as we find it. We've talked about sheds being near boundaries, and there are specific heights with eaves and centres. Is it our responsibility to spoon feed people on the regulations of things? Fences. A fence can't be more than 6 foot tall. How many fences are over 6 foot? Where are you measuring it from? Are you measuring it from your side of the garden or a lower point on the other side? So people have to have some responsibilities for their own actions, and we shouldn't be nannying them. What's the answer? I don't know, but it would be useful if we could have and interesting, and very interesting, and we could flag it up and say it's on YouTube, it's going to be on the council website. I think it'd be very interesting to have someone come and talk about it, to either us as a committee or us as a whole council. Thank you.
There's many training sessions that Woking Borough planners, Marcia runs for the borough. Now, if they're online, they're through Teams or Zoom, we could even have a session on that. You don't have to come here, we could do it on Teams or Zoom if we need be. Many ways of gathering the information, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It would certainly be a good idea.
Sorry?
It would certainly be
a
good idea.
It's a bit of a grey area as far as we're concerned, isn't it? Okay. Sorry, we're future item agendas we're still on. Anything else at all that we want to discuss in the future? Okay. Publicity and website. When's the next Herald due?
Not for a while.
No.
It's twice a year, and we've just done
Yeah.
our mark.
Oh, yeah.
Literally
Done
done
it.
March, so we're in another 6 months or so.
Yeah. We're going to highlight the Speed Watch programme.
Will do, yes. Once we got the approval.
Well, by the time we get to the next Herald, we should be have had some.
We're on the home run.
Yeah.
No.
Remember, Chair, it's not just the Herald.
No.
Newspapers ramping up, social media, which is great. In fact, for many respects, actually, social media is a better vehicle or medium.
We'll definitely get that information out as soon as it moves.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's not.
okay. Nothing else? Enforcement issues, to know enforcement issues have not yet been provided by Wokingham. Is there any, nothing's but come through
I
since?
haven't had anything since that, no, when pulling this together, they normally send it through on the first of the month, and when pulling this together, I noticed it wasn't here, so that was for the draft. I chased them and gave them time before the agenda went out, but they haven't come back, and I keep chasing, so we'll get that next information, I imagine, on the 1st of April.
Okay, thank you very much. And that brings us to the end of the meeting. So thank you very much, everybody, for attending, and those online. Thank you very